Hello, students. Welcome back to your economics class. This will be the last class for this chapter, People as a Resource. And today we are going to discuss unemployment. In the two stories that I had told you about, I had told you all earlier about the two people, that is Vilas and Sakal. We're going to talk about Sakal at the moment. Sakal's mother, Sheila, she looked after the domestic chores as well as children and also helped her husband Bhuta in the fields. Sakal's brother Jitu and sister Sita also spent their time playing and roaming. So, can you call Sheila or Jitu unemployed? They spent their time playing and roaming. So, were they unemployed? And if yes, why? So, what is unemployment? Unemployment is when people who are willing to work, even at the current wages that people are ready to offer, but still they cannot find jobs, that is called unemployment. Over here, Sheila is not unemployed because she's not interested to work outside her domain. She's not ready to work outside a particular area. Jitu and Situ are too small to be counted in the workforce of population. Okay, so they cannot be counted as unemployed. So neither Jitu, Situ or Sheila can be counted as unemployed. So if you have a person who is ready to work, who's ready to work at the current market value rate available, whatever it is, and still is not able to find job, those are unemployed. Not everyone who is not working. So if you're sitting at home and you look at your grandfather or you look at your uncle or your aunt or your mother or your father or anybody who's not currently working, does not mean they are unemployed. Unemployment is only when they want to work, they are willing to work at the current rate and still not getting jobs, then they are unemployed. So I have this neighbor who is willing to work, but she's not picking up jobs because they are not giving her a good salary. That means she's not unemployed. She has offers. She's not picking it. At the same time, I know of, especially in the current situation, I know of this person who is my cousin's friend. He wants a job and he's ready to take whatever salary is offered. He is qualified. He's willing to work. He's ready to work at the current rate, but he's still not able to find a job. So he will be counted as unemployed. Okay. So when a person is actively seeking a job but is unable to get employed, he is called an unemployed person. Under 15 and above 59, you will not consider. People in the working age of 15 to 59 years, only they can be termed as unemployed. Okay. Additionally, if a person voluntarily does not want to work, he cannot be termed as unemployed. So when I uh, started searching for jobs, this is good 14, 15 years back. Initially, I had uh, put these barriers to myself that I wouldn't work beyond a certain area. I had given myself regionals. So it said that, I wouldn't work beyond Bandra. So if I did not get a job because of this condition, then I was not called unemployed because I was a picky person. All my friends would tell me, you're very picky. So if a person voluntarily doesn't want to work because of some reasons, you cannot term them as unemployed. So if you have a teacher who says, I will work only if I get so and so school to work at, or else I will not work, and the teacher is at home without a job, then that teacher is not unemployed. All right. Now, this is a very hilarious drawing, and this is something I reason with. Okay. They all want jobs so bad that they are willing to pay for an employment opportunity. And this is a big spoof, big spam that takes place. Uh, Experienced it firsthand, so I'm aware. Uh, I am a computer engineer. I am a software engineer by degree. I'm also a B.Ed. I can also teach multiple degrees. But the point was, at one point, I had got a mail from a big, huge company at Bangalore. And that company said that, you have an interview lined up for you and we've liked your profile. The only catch is that please deposit 15,000 rupees in so and so bank account. And at that point of time, this amount was not very huge. Of course, it's not something I had it in my pocket or my. I had to, of course, speak to my parents and my father, and they would agree, but it was not a big amount that they wouldn't agree. The 15,000 rupees, put it in so and so bank account, and it is refundable, meaning when you come down to Bangalore for the interview, we are going to give this money back to you. This is just securing that we know that you are coming, so you have to pay this money. And it said that, when you come down, we will pay you for your air ticket, we are going to pay you for the hotel, and we are going to give you this money back. So it sounded so lucrative at that time. And I got this mail at around 4:30, and in the mail it was written that 3 o'clock is the deadline. So I got fishy that, no big company could get this careless. So I went snooping around. I figured out it was a spam mail, and there were so many people they had already duped. So many people who were in the carbon copy of that mail, and I knew so most of them must have paid up. So this is how desperate people are, that they're ready to pay for an employment. Now, in case of India, we have unemployment in rural and urban both. But the nature of unemployment differs in the rural and urban areas. In case of the rural areas, there is seasonal and disguised or hidden unemployment. Seasonal unemployment is more prevalent in these rural areas because of the farming cycle, because of the agricultural season. In this, there are certain months where the farmers and the laborers and everyone in the village are very busy with the farm work. And there are many other months where a farm worker is without any work. So when a person is employed only during some months of the year, it's called seasonal unemployment. Then comes hidden unemployment, or also called as seasonal disguised unemployment. In this, the employment is more prevalent. Again, this is a rural area unemployment. It's more prevalent in the rural areas. So let's take there is a family of 8 people, okay, and all of them work on the farm. And the size of the farm is not very big. It's decent that 5 people can manage it. You don't need 8 people first. But the family is of 8, so all of them work. The extra 3 people that are contributing towards the that are working in the farm, they are not really contributing to the productivity. They are only working because they have no other employment. They have no other employment. They're not employed anywhere else, so they are working over here. Their potential could have better results if utilized elsewhere. Similar situation can also be seen in some family owned shops where the family members may be working in the same shop but not adding substantially to the output. Apparently, this is also there in the urban areas. There is a small shop under my house where there are 3 brothers who are handling it. Trust me, the shop is not big enough because no, they have a lot of crowd that comes. Like it must be bringing in a lot of business. But the 3 brothers, they don't even have place for all 3 of them to sit in that shop. Plus, they have 2 helpers. So apparently, there are 5 people who are dependent on that shop. Instead of that, if 2 brothers would open 2 other shops somewhere, their income would have increased. So basically, disguised unemployment is where there are more people who are working, and honestly, they all pretend to work, because if 1 or 2 of them are less, still the work will be the same, productivity will be the same, income will be the same. And even if 3 of them are there, it is the same. in this kind of a situation, a practical outlook and overlook is very important. Now, this is a problem with the urban areas, which is educated unemployment. Now, what is educated unemployment? Is basically very highly educated youth who are like graduates and postgraduates, they are not able to find a job. Okay, so some analysis suggests that most of the highly educated youth do not possess employability. And most of the analysis say that it is because of the demand supply gap. That means, let's say we have, for example, 1 lakh MBAs, but we only have 40,000 jobs. That means there are 60,000 MBAs who are educated, who have the degree, but they're not going to be able to land jobs because there are no jobs. This is the demand supply gap, where the demand for the MBA job is too high because there are so many MBAs, but the supply of the jobs are very less. At the same time, these MBAs will not get good pays because the supply of MBAs is very high and the demand is very less. There are only 40,000 demands of MBAs and there are 1 lakh MBAs. That means these companies are going to play them. Okay, they are not going to, they will tell them that you either take the job or you move out because I have so many others who are wanting it. All right. So while many technically qualified people are unemployed, there are many jobs that remain vacant also because of lack of proper training. So on one hand, we have these 60,000 MBAs who are highly educated and they don't have a job. At the same time, we have so many clerical positions and so many other job opportunities which are open and they are vacant because they don't have trained individuals. So there are different types of problems. Okay, so this is a paradoxical manpower situation in which surplus of manpower in certain categories coexist with shortage of manpower in other categories. There is unemployment among technically qualified people on one hand, whereas there is dearth of technical skills required for the growth of economic growth. Now, employment leads to wastage of manpower resources. People who are an asset for the economy, they turn into a liability. There is a feeling of hopelessness and despair among the youth. People do not have enough money to support their family. Inability of educated people who are willing to work to find gainful employment implies a great social waste. Okay, high rate of unemployment also increases crime rate. It becomes emotionally and financially draining on the family members. So unemployment tends to increase the economic overload of the country. The dependence of unemployed or the working population increases. The quality of life of an individual as well as of a society overall is adversely affected when the unemployment increases. So when a family starts living on bare subsistence level, there's a general decline in the health status and there is a withdrawal from the school system. So at the end of the day, when there is less income coming in the family, you have to make some tough decisions. So it can come on the children, it can come on the education system, it can come that they withdraw the kids from the school. So unemployment, it has a detrimental impact on the overall growth of an economy. Increase in unemployment is an indicator of a depressed economy, something that I fear may happen with the COVID situation. And I am hearing, at the moment, I'm not really hearing a lot, but in the other countries, I have heard there are so many people who've lost jobs. I just wish it doesn't really happen here. But if that happens, it is going to be an indicator of a depressed economy. Also, wastage of resources, which could have in some other phase been an asset to the country. Now they have become liabilities to the country. People cannot be used as a resource if they become a liability to the economy. So in case of India, statistically, the unemployment rate is low. Large number of people represented with low income and productivity are counted as employed. So the ones in the agricultural sector who have low productivity and low income, they are actually considered as employed, which is actually disguised unemployment, but it's not taken into consideration. And so statistically, the unemployment rate in India is very low. People appear to work throughout the year, but in their terms of potential and income, it is not adequate for them to provide them with a good lifestyle. The work that they are pursuing seems to be forced upon them. They may want to work in some other field of their choice, but these people, they cannot afford to sit idle. So they try to engage in any activity, irrespective of the earning potential. And this little earning potential that they have, because of them, their life is on bare subsistence level. Also, the unemployment structure is characterized by self-employment in the primary sector. Self-employment means the whole family contributes in the field, even though everybody is not really needed. And there is seasonal unemployment and disguised unemployment very active in the rural areas. Okay, so the entire family shares what has been produced. This concept of sharing work in the field and produce reduces the hardship of unemployment in the rural sector, but it does not reduce the poverty of the family. And slowly, the surplus labor from household starts migrating from village to village in search of jobs. So let's say right now the family members were 8, but future if they become 12 and they're still working on the same field where only 5 people are really needed, then the disguised unemployment will become very visible. You'll be able to see some people are just sitting there. And maybe some of them will now go out in search of job. So if you look at the employment scenarios in all the 3 sectors, agriculture is the most labor absorbing sector of the economy. Although in the recent years there has been a decline in the dependence of population on agriculture, especially because of disguised unemployment that we have spoken, and now people are realizing it. Some surplus labor of agriculture has now moved to the secondary and tertiary sector. In the secondary sector, small scale manufacturing is the most labor absorbing industry. And in the case of tertiary sector, new services like biotechnology, information technology, these are the most labor absorbing industries. All right. So there are 3 types of unemployment: seasonal, disguised, and educated. Okay. And unemployment exists only when there are people who are ready to work at the wage, but they still can't find any job. All right. So these last 3 slides is for your revision. Okay. Unemployment is when there are people who are willing to work at the current wages and still not finding work. In rural areas, we have seasonal and disguised unemployment. In urban areas, we have educated unemployment. Unemployment leads to wastage of manpower resource, and people who are an asset to the economy, they turn into a liability. Okay. In India, we have employment in both the sectors, rural and urban areas, but the nature of unemployment differs. In seasonal unemployment, where people are not able to find jobs during some months of the year. So in some seasons they have job, some seasons they do not have job. Disguised unemployment, over here, people appear to be employed. Some people require the work of only few people, but they engage more people than it's required. And the extra workers, they are called disguised unemployed. And it usually happens in the agricultural family. Educated unemployment is more common in the urban areas because many educated youth, they are not able to find a job, and so they are called educated unemployment. So with this, we end the chapter today. No homework for you all. Okay, work on your subject enrichments. Stay home, stay safe, take care, and keep learning. Thank you.